Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Melissa Andre. I'm the Executive Director of the Philadelphia Tax Review Board. And today we are having a session and the category is license and inspections. Today is August 15th of 2024. It is a Thursday and it is approximately 2:10 p.m. With me today is our board chair, Paula Weiss, as well as board members Nancy Kamerdiner, George Matthews, and John O'Connor. Please note that this is a public hearing and it is being recorded. Because the meeting is public, participants and viewers have no expectation of privacy. And by continuing to be in the meeting, you are consenting to being recorded. This recording will also be posted on the Tax Review Board website. At this time, I'm going to give control of the board to Paula Weiss, and note that the petitioner on cases 1 and 3 is in the room, so we can proceed.
Very good. Good afternoon, everyone. Tax Review Board hearings for August 15th, 2024 are now in session. We're going to turn to our docket numbers 1 and 3. Petitioner's name, Byatt LLC, property 461 Winona Street. Starting with case number 1, I believe, Mr. Ruler, you're here representing the city on this case?
Yes, I'll be handling all of the cases today.
Oh, okay. Then I don't have to ask that question again. Let's take these one at a time. Does that make sense? Two separate billings? Okay. So we're going to call case number 1, last 4 digits of the docket, 8768 for Byatt LLC. Good afternoon, sir. From Byatt LLC, could you state your name for the record, please?
Ron Ben Shoshan.
You are going to have to speak a little bit louder than that for us to hear you.
Ron Ben Shoshan.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth?
I do.
Thank you. We're going to turn to the city first to get.
I need him to spell his name, please.
I'm sorry. Could you spell your last name, please?
Shoshan. Shoshan.
All right. Did you get that?
Yes,
He needs to
Stacy?
speak closer to a mic, I think.
Can you move? Can you move up, please? The
yes.
microphone is right there on the table, so move up. Thank you.
All right, we're going to turn to the city first in order to get information about the amounts in controversy and the dates associated with it. So, Mr. Rulo, you have someone here to testify to those matters?
I have the wonderful Miss Fonseca that has those numbers, and then my fact witness will be currently listed as Martin.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Fonseca. Could you state your name and your position with the city?
Good afternoon, Eileen Fonseca with License and Inspections, Code Administrator Supervisor.
Do you swear or affirm testimony you're about to give in these matters will be the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Could you give us the dollar amounts in controversy here?
Sure. So for docket number ending in 8768, 461 Winona Street, this is for a clean and seal abatement. Bill date is December 7th of 2021. Bill number is 21011982. Principal amount is $632.99. The administrative charge is $132.93. And the interest, the interest as of today is $38.21, totaling out to be $804.13. This was also a hearing, it was heard back in June of 2023. I don't know, I'm pretty sure Mr. Rulo will probably address to that, but did you want me to go to the next bill?
No, we're going to do one at a time.
Okay.
Mr. Rulo, any opening comments?
Yes, I guess at first I was unaware of that prior continuance, but there actually is a preliminary matter for both of these that I wanted to address. The first case that we're hearing, the one that we've just read in, concerns a invoice, as Ms. Fonseca noted, for a clean and seal. That the date of that invoice is November 16th, 2022. The second case that we're dealing with today, which was for primarily trimming of weeds, is an invoice that's dated December 7th, 2021. The reason why I'm raising this is that the signature date on both of the petitions is January 6th of 2022. I believe that that might be an error and that these appeals were actually filed on January 6, 2023. The reason being is that the second invoice wasn't issued until 8 months after that, or 11 months after that. Why am I bringing this up, you might ask? That in that situation, then the invoice from 2021, the appeal of that invoice is over 2 years late.
Well, let's hold that for
Or
just.
do we want to hold that? Well, I guess
No,
the
no,
first,
I just want to confirm, I want to go back to our own office process. Ms. Andre, do you have information? Or can you provide us with information as to what our files say as to when those petitions were in fact filed?
I cannot because, wait, that's not true. I take it back. I have that these were emailed to us, which may be the issue. I have emails between the case manager for the case manager at the time, and an email indicating that they were submitted Thursday, November 10th of 2022. To our office. They were emailed to our office.
November of 2022.
Correct, but there is a date of 1/6/22 on these petitions. But they were submitted to us November of 2022.
Okay.
Wait, no, I take it back, because there's like a bunch of emails here. I have November 10th. And then I have one that was actually submitted on 1/6/2022. And then it looks like the additional bill was submitted November of 2022.
The second bill,
Correct,
for the second petition.
yes. And I can scan this over so everybody can see the transition, but it looks like he had been reaching out to our office since at least January of 2022. And then again in 2023, January of 2023.
I think we are okay then. It looked like there was some confusion on my documents
Okay,
that raised this question. I think based on what Ms. Andre has just said, that my concern about whether the one appeal was late has been resolved.
very
So,
good. All right,
Yeah.
thank you, Ms. Andre. Thank you, Mr. Rulo, for raising that and allowing us time to clarify it. All right, so then we're gonna go back again to case number 1, which is the clean and seal for the invoice dated 11/16/2022. That's correct?
yes,
Yes, all right. Did you have any opening comments about that specific case?
I do. Just one second.
Mm-hmm.
So you will hear from Inspector Martin Higgins shortly, but in the city's view of this case, there was a notice of violation that was issued for these issues at the property. That notice of violation, October 7th of 2022. I'm gonna elicit all of this from the witness. Just wanted to do the opening statement here. That notice of violation.
Between the two violations, I mean,
All right, just a moment, sir. You'll have your chance.
no, but he's talking about 2022 and we're discussing 2021. It's two separate violations.
We know that.
Yeah, we have that.
No, I think what he's saying is that Mr. Rulo is talking about the second case, and we're actually talking about the first case. Because Mr. Rulo said 2022, and we're talking about the 2021 case.
So here's, I think, the issue. The first docket case concerns a bill from 2022. The second docketed case concerns a bill from 2021. So the docket where these cases were docketed is out of order from
Thank
the
you.
bills. So
Okay.
maybe it does make sense then to start with the second docketed case, which is the one that ends 8724, because that one concerns the 2021 invoice. So if we want to keep this in order in terms of time, it would make sense to go there first.
All right, so we're gonna actually look at the case that's docketed number 3 on our agenda. Is that what am I
Yep.
getting this? Yes, ending in 8724, and let's go back to Ms. Fonseca then
Sorry,
and get the dollar.
I'm disputing what.
All right, sir, just a moment. And Ms. Fonseca, what are the dollar amounts?
So the dollar amounts for that
Case
bill
number
is,
3.
for case number 3 is, principal amount is $1,369.82. The administrative charge is $287.66. And there is no interest at this time for that bill.
Okay,
So that totals out to be $1,657.48.
And what's the date of that bill?
The date, again, I guess I have it as the mix up, but what I have on my screen in front of me is 11/22/22.
okay.
Bill for 20.
But I'm sure, again,
Ms. Fonseca, do you have the numbers for a bill from 2021?
the numbers that I had read prior was the principal amount was $632.99.
Okay. So that, I think that this has been confusing because of the numbers and things are out of order. To clarify, the numbers that Ms. Fonseca read first are the ones associated with docket number 8724.
Got it.
I'm confused. I'm sorry.
So Ms. Fonseca read in the docket for the third case as the first case.
All right, so we're actually talking about a clean and so what I have for the case number. Wait a minute.
Okay, so what we're
Let's go by
gonna do,
docket number. Let's go by docket number for your docket.
it's not the docket number we should be looking at. It should be the bill number.
Bill number.
Yes, so for bill number ending in 1196, which corresponds with case number 3, what are the numbers for that case?
I'm not aware about case number 3.
Sir, we
Case
can't talk.
number 3 is how everybody else in this room is looking at it, but you're looking at it as the bill that ends in 1196 or docket number 8724.
And
Okay.
those numbers are $632.99 for the principal?
Ms.
Yes.
Fontaine?
That's right.
All right, yes.
For 87.
But that's actually, so it's bill number 1196.
I'm
Correct.
sorry, Chairperson Weiss, I cannot hear you guys talk with the petitioner talking over you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Only one person can talk at a time. All right, I'm sorry, yes, what did you want to say?
So, docket number 8724, the bill for it is 1,657, which is for 2022. So there's a lot of confusion here with the
Yes.
representative.
Maybe I can step in here. We're
You're gonna
going to start with the invoice number ending 01119. Jeez, come on, sorry. The invoice ending 011982. The date of that invoice is December 7th of 2021. That was for what is listed as a clean and seal, with the total payment that is due on it being $765.92. And I think Ms. Fonseca can then provide us with the administrative charge and the interest. Is that correct, Ms. Fonseca?
That's correct, but I kind of want to go on our system because I'm only reading off of what I'm covering for Lashika, and I want to go and get accurate numbers at this point. So, if I can go into our system really quick, is that possible?
Yes, because you know what, Mr. Rullo, I think that number that you just read out includes the administrative charge based on what Ms.
Yeah.
Fonseca said out at the
I
beginning.
don't want to.
It does. So that would just be, we just need the interest number.
$38.21.
Okay, then we have it.
Okay.
Believe the number's 804.13.
That's
Correct.
what I have. Thank you, John. All right, and that bill was dated 12/7/21?
That is correct.
All
Yeah,
right,
that's
let's do that. You ready, Mr. Rullo? Opening comments.
I am, and I apologize if I contributed to any of that confusion.
Okay. Let's do it.
All right, so as we've now established, This concerns a notice of violation that was issued on January 1st of 2021. That's when the notice of violation was issued. That violation was for untrimmed weeds on the property, both at the rear and the front. That notice of violation was not appealed. And when the city returned to the property in December of that year, the conditions remained, which resulted in Clip coming out that same day to then trim those weeds. At that point, over 5 months had passed and the violations had not been corrected. And so the city's position is that there's plenty of time provided, the conditions remained, it was entitled to do this work, and we are entitled to the full amount of the principal, administrative fee, and the interest in this case.
Okay, and
With
what was the
that-
date of the NOV, the notice of violation again?
The notice of violation is dated July 1st of
Yeah.
2021.
July, okay. Thought you
For
said
5
January.
months.
All right, so we're gonna turn now to the petitioner, sir. What would you like to tell us about this initial matter?
Okay, first of all, I would like to bring to your attention that we were under COVID restriction up until June of 2021. The stay home restriction, and we were not allowed to work. We were not allowed to do anything unless it's essential or it's an emergency. At that point, this property was a vacant property. More than that, to reach out to the city during those days that most of them are working from home or still under the COVID restrictions were almost impossible. Calling the city were taking hours. Communicating with the city was barely possible. When we received this notice, I mean, usually we try to address things as soon as we can. We received through the years, I mean, I'm 20 years in the business, we received through the years, multiple violations on different properties, and we try to address them. When we receive Clip violation, usually it's referring to the front of the property. During that time, I was not able to confirm with anyone, but I have a picture here, was taken July 12th of 2021, showing.
Okay, we can't see that.
Can't hear
actually.
you.
Hold on just a moment. Someone will come get that from you.
I have on my phone also another picture to show also the sidewalk. I'm going to try just to put it through the camera, but
No, yeah, I can assure you we won't be able to really see it. So hold on just a moment. Ms. Andre's coming in.
this one is dated July 12, and I have it proof on my phone. I mean, it's dated on my phone, so maybe you can testify for them.
Why don't you just give me everything you're gonna end up showing the board?
I mean, I just had, it, but
Board members, I am really struggling to hear the petitioner.
Yeah,
I cannot hear anything he says.
okay, so.
they're not gonna be able to see that,
yeah.
sir, so
Yeah.
why don't you just.
All right, Melissa, he's gonna, the microphone has got to be closer or he needs to move to a different room because we cannot really hear him
Can you
well
hear him at
enough.
all? Okay, then I'll have him move in a second. I'm gonna make a copy of this and also make a copy of this,
No, this unit.
okay.
Okay, so Mr. Shoshan, I'm gonna ask you to really speak up while you're still in there. So can you explain to us did you get that notice?
I believe we received it, and on July 12th, we took care of the front of the property, that we believe that was the citation, and that's what we addressed. We had no one from the city to speak with in reference to anything else. Usually, when we receive such as citations, they never refer to the rear of the property. And I can add to that, even though it's unrelated, but the next door property, it's a vacant lot that since this violation, it's just overgrowing, and the city never come to address this one.
Well, we don't know we don't know really
I
anything about
have
that.
videos that I took like in multiple dates that I can present. I'm sorry that I thought that it's gonna be a full board that can see me, so I could present it from my phone, but I have a full video basically referring to my property, but I'm walking on that vacant lot that's full of weeds and trash, and this was not a city concern, but my backyard was a city concern.
Okay.
That's a little bit overwhelming for me, especially that we're right out of COVID. There's no one to talk to, and I did take care of the front of the property to the best of my knowledge that was the citation for.
Okay. Anything else you want to add at this moment?
For this citation, I would like to add another comment. If you will feel that because they did some work in the back that they deserve to get paid, at least I'm asking that you will reduce it tremendously, because if I have to hire someone, I'll pay him $75, $100 to come and do the backyard. To charge me $760, I think it's not in proportion for the work that was done. I'll tell you even more than that. When I'm suing sometimes a tenant and charging for such thing, usually the judge come and tell me, listen, charge whatever is reasonable. I mean, don't come to me with like high numbers, because here the sky is the limit. They can come and say, listen, we put 10 guys here, cost us $1,700 to trim the backyard. And I mean,
Okay, we understand what you're saying, and we will certainly take that into
you will
consideration.
consider the back, which I did not look at that time. And again, we were right on after COVID. We were limited
Okay.
with workforce, and all we knew is they're referring to the front. I have a picture dated July 12 showing that we did do the work in the front.
All right, I'm going to turn back to Mr. Rulo to put on his case. Mr. Rulo?
Yes, just one
Ask
note.
a question if you want.
Yeah, just two notes.
Mhm.
For the sake of the court reporter, sir, can you please be careful not to speak over other people? They have a very difficult job. And when someone is speaking, if there's two people speaking, it makes her job nearly impossible. So please, please, please try to do better with that. The second thing, and this is a matter of public record, is that all COVID restrictions in the city of Philadelphia were.
Mr. Rulo, do you want to wait till he gets in the room?
I'm here, I'm
I
here,
did not realize he was switching rooms.
I'm here. I'm here.
Great, we can hear you better now, sir. I had just asked as a reminder to please watch speaking over someone, as it makes it nearly impossible for the court reporter, and they have a very difficult job, so just try to be very cognizant of that. The second thing, and this is a matter of public record, so I can introduce it, is that all COVID restrictions in the city of Philadelphia were lifted on June 2nd of 2021.
Okay,
And license and inspections did not close. With that, I'd ask if we could have Inspector Martin Higgins sworn in.
good afternoon, Mr. Higgins. You need to unmute yourself.
Good afternoon.
Or could you state your full name and position with the Department of Licenses and Inspections?
Martin Higgins, MartinHiggins, Code Administrator with the Department of Licenses and Inspections.
You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Rulo?
With the board's permission, I'd like to share my screen.
Yes.
Mr. Higgins, can you see what's been displayed on the screen as Exhibit A?
Yes.
I can zoom in a little bit.
Very good.
All right, I'm moving down to the document here. What is this document?
This is a notice of violation and an order to correct.
And the responsible party is listed as Byatt LLC. And underneath that, it says Office 1807 Widener Place, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
And just for the purposes of the record, that is the same address that the petitioner put on his petition. And what is the date of this notice?
The date of the notice is July 1st, 2021.
I'm going to move down now here. Could you just note what the condition in violation is for both of these violations here?
So it looks like it says cut and remove high weeds from front and rear exterior property. Then the location, it says front and rear exteriors.
And that's the same for the second violation, is that correct?
Yes.
And as far as you're aware, was any appeal to the Board of License and Inspection Review filed for that?
No.
I'm moving to what has now been marked as City Exhibit B. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And Mr. Higgins, as far as you're aware, these photographs are downloaded from the Eclipse file for this violation case. Is that correct?
Yes,
And so these would be the pictures that were taken at the time that the violation was issued.
yes.
And what does this first picture show?
Shows the rear yard overgrown.
And that's another angle of that overgrowth.
Yes, it is.
And I'm going to move to what has been marked as City Exhibit C now. I'm going to zoom in here. Can you see what the date of this photograph is?
December 1st, 2021 at 12:07 PM would be the front of the address in question.
And is this the property in question?
Yes,
And I'm going to turn now to the second photo. What does this photo display?
it looks like first floor windows, what would be maybe the dining room and kitchen of the property that were boarded from the interior.
And I know it's difficult, but can you see that there's broken glass around those windows right now?
Yes,
I'm going to move to the next photo. So this is another photo of that rear yard as of December. Is that correct?
yes,
And again, another further photo of that, correct?
yes.
And when a clip comes out, do they take both before and after photos of the work that they've done?
Yes, they do.
Move to this next picture here. What is this?
This is the cover sheet for the after photos of 461 Winona Street.
And this first photo is showing that the rear yard weeds have been cleared now. Is that correct?
Yes,
And we have another angle of that, correct?
yes.
Move to City Exhibit D. And can you just briefly explain what the purpose of the CLIP program is?
So the Community Life Improvement Program's primary charge is to address exterior maintenance violations that would be deemed eyesores or basically notifying residents of the city of Philadelphia of the property maintenance code. They're supposed to operate within the realm of the property maintenance code, and we're not property managers. We're a code enforcement agency.
That does it for my directive, Mr. Higgins.
Paula, you're on mute.
Can I ask a question?
Sorry, yes, do you have any questions for Mr. Higgins?
For Mr. Martin, yes. When you guys did the work at 461, you didn't notice that the lot next door is also overgrown and maybe.
Mr. Shoshan, that's not in front of us today. That really is not relevant to the
No,
board's
I mean, the reason
deliberation.
that I'm asking because it feels that they targeted this property. I'm not sure if.
Objection, he's testifying, not asking a question.
No, if you have a question about your property and your bill, that's really what we're here to listen to.
Okay, no further question.
Okay. Mr. Rullo?
With that, I think we can move to closing statements.
Go right ahead.
Okay, so as Mr. Higgins noted, the city is not a property management company. Yet, as the record showed here, there is ample time provided to the owner to correct the violations at the rear of the property. That notice of violation clearly states that it includes the violations at both the rear and the front of the property. And this is an instance where these community life issues, they impact the surrounding communities. I think the impact of blight is apparent. That's the reason why the CLIP program exists. And in general, but particularly when a owner has been noticed, there is no dispute that that address was correct. There was no appeal filed. Nearly 5 months was provided to correct those violations, and they were not done so. The city had the right to go in and correct that violation and abate that blighted condition. And the taxpayers of the city of Philadelphia paid for that. Mr. Shoshan, pardon if I'm mispronouncing your last name, said that he could have done that for less money. Well, yes, if he had done that as he's supposed to, he could have gone to either done that himself or gone to the marketplace and obtained that service. But in the end, the city had to conduct that itself. And there are attendant costs with that. And I think in this instance, you know, as we will see in a little bit, there is a second case that then we had something similar happen with this property. And I think in this instance, the taxpayers are entitled to get, both under the law and as a matter of fairness, they're entitled to get repaid. And in this instance, I would argue that that both the administrative fee and all of the interest should also be incurred to deter this moving forward.
Thank you. Mr. Shoshine, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Like I said, I was not aware about the rear yard. This was right after COVID. I don't know how much this will help and if you guys want to see it. But
No, we cannot see that.
And I
So
sent
don't-
that, I emailed it to everybody, so.
No,
they-
but
Oh, okay, so that we do have those pictures.
this is what it looks these days. I mean, that property, that's what it looks these days. So just to show you that we do not neglect or try to avoid what we being asked for. Like I said, I mean, if you guys will feel that the city will needs to get paid for the rear yard work, so at least just make it reasonable and not $700 as they asking for.
Do you agree that the pictures Mr. Rulo had Mr. Higgins show did reflect what your property looked like?
So I mean, in the front, yes, I can't confirm the rear yard just because, like I said, I mean, I was under the impression that they're referring to the front and that's what we dealt with. And I knew that they also seeking the backyard. I would, you know, I mean, we had crews there, so it just to ask them to go to the backyard and do the same work. Unfortunately, like I said, with my experience with the city and with the clips, they never asking about the rear yard. I guess because there were a vacant lot right next to it and they had access. That's why they did so. It was also fenced, so I don't know
Okay.
how did they gain access. I don't know if they're allowed to get into my backyard without my permission. But that's, I mean, I don't know the law restriction for the city employees about entering a private property without permission, because that backyard was fenced all the way, and without my consent or my permission, they entered and did what they did.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna step back now.
If I may, I just
Absolutely.
realized that I didn't get an opportunity to ask questions of the petitioner yet.
Oh, I thought you did.
No.
All right. Go.
Mr. Shoshin, how many properties does your company own in the city of Philadelphia?
Do I have to answer that?
Yes.
We own multiple properties,
How many properties?
around 40.
Okay. And you indicated that, if I heard you correctly, that you have a crew, and what is that crew?
And we have like workers that do work for us, and contractors that we hire to do certain works. It's all depend on the necessity of the repair.
And how often do you visit your properties?
It's all depend which one, but I'm visiting, I'll say like once a month, give or take between all of them, sometimes more. It all depends. I mean, I can't like be specific with each property.
And apologies, sound back there. That does it for my questions.
Okay. Did you have any other comments you wanted to add? You did your closing already.
I just wanted to note again, the petitioner keeps indicating that he was unaware about the issues at the rear of the property. That is clearly indicated on the notice of violation.
Yes.
That's the only thing I'd highlight.
Okay. So we're gonna step back now as a board.
Oh, do you just wanna go into the next one and then have them both come out at the same time?
It's probably a good idea.
Okay, we could, I just was thinking that we would start to blend them, but if that. Should we do that, John, George?
Yeah,
Yes, all right, so let's
agree
just
with
roll
you,
into the
Melissa,
next
yes.
one. All right, then we'll just keep
Yeah.
going. So we're gonna move into case number 3, last 4 digits of the docket, 8724. I know that Ms. Fonseca has already read those numbers into the record. Do we need her to repeat that, or we're all clear that I think the current balance is 1657.48?
Ms.
Mr. Rullo, did
Fonseca
I?
is shaking her head, yes.
Yes.
Or
All right.
nodding her head, yes.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Rullo, any opening comments for that specific case?
Yes, so, again, I would repeat, I won't be repetitive or try not to. I'm an attorney
Please.
after all.
Yeah.
But, we're back here again, a year later. And in this instance, the property had to be sealed by CLIP because it remained open. And those windows had glass that was essentially falling out of them, and they were not properly secured. And so I think we're seeing a theme here. We have the same issues. The violation notice was issued. It was not appealed. It was not addressed. And L&I was forced to go out and do the work, and the taxpayers absorbed that work.
So
And
this
I
was
think-
clean and sealed.
Correct.
Okay.
And I won't belabor the point. I think that the timeline here, in terms of both of these cases occurring and the period over which they occurred, speaks for itself. And reinforces why the city is adamant that we should be entitled to the full amounts in both of these cases. With that, I believe that Mr. Higgins has already been sworn, so I would just request permission to share my screen.
Well, why don't we turn to Mr. Shosha?
Oh,
for
excuse me.
comments, and then, yes.
Let him speak and I'll comment on afterwards. I mean, you can-
Oh, okay, then go right ahead. Mr. Higgins, you're back up. Still sworn.
Mr. Higgins, can you see what's been displayed on the screen as City Exhibit A?
Yes,
What is this document? I'll zoom in so people can hopefully see a little bit better.
No, I think we can see it. We're good.
Okay.
it's the violation notice in order to correct.
And this was issued to Byatt LLC, located at 1807 Widener Place, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Is that correct?
Yes,
And the date of this notice is October 7th, 2022. Did I read that correct?
yes,
To go down to the violations, I'm just going to read and ask you to confirm that these are correct. The first violation, the condition in violation, is listed as a vacant property, correct?
yes,
And then the second condition notes issues with 3 windows. Is that correct?
yes,
And then the third notes weeds, exterior, front, and rear, correct?
yes,
We have another notation of another code section that's cited and refers to it being a vacant property, correct?
yes,
And then we have another violation, and I'm going to highlight this. This is code section 93905. And this is a violation for a vacant structure license. Is that correct?
yes,
Okay, so the property did not have the required vacant license. That's basically it, correct?
yes.
I'm going to move to City Exhibit B now.
Mr. Rullo, could I interrupt a second? Can we go back up to the first vacant property violation? What is that just for being vacant
Vacant and not being maintained.
and not maintained? Okay, thank you. I didn't have a chance to read the text. Thank you.
Yeah, and I guess just to explain, there's, depending on conditions, a violating condition can be subject to multiple code sections that it is violating. So that's why some of these can look repetitive, just for context. Going to move to what has been marked as City Exhibit B. I'm going to zoom out because these are weirdly zoomed in, or at least that one is. What is the date of this photograph?
November 16th, 2022.
And what is this document that's displayed here?
It's the cover sheet of the before photos at 461 Winona Street.
And just for the purposes of the record, again, that violation notice was dated October 7th of 2022. And we've now moved to photos from November 16th of 2022. Mr. Higgins, are you aware of any appeal being filed of that notice of violation?
No, I am not.
Going to move to the first photo. This is that same property, is that correct?
Yes,
And are we seeing weeds at the front of the property again?
yes,
Right, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit more. Are the windows open?
Yes,
Move down to another angle. This is showing the weeds at the front of the property again, correct?
yes.
Is there a question? I thought I heard someone speaking up.
On that picture, the windows are closed, by the way. So someone must have opened the windows.
Believe that the petitioner will have a time to ask questions of Mr. Higgins. And then in this photograph, we see another angle where the window is back open now. Is that correct?
Yes.
And when Clip goes out to a property that it's looking to potentially seal, does it check to see if the property is actually a vacant property, to check to see if it is actually secure or not?
Yes.
And why does it try to make sure that those openings are secured or unsecured?
So that primarily people just cannot take the space and occupy it. It just keeps people from going into that property, and more so children, that they don't get a little mischievous and create damages.
And so it's to address the risk of unauthorized individuals entering into those properties. Is that a fair summary of what you just said?
Yes,
I'm going to move to this. This is showing the rear of the property again, correct?
yes,
And it's displaying overgrowth of weeds again, correct?
yes. I'm sorry, yes.
And then we have another angle here of this window at the rear of the property. Can you see broken glass that's present there?
Yes,
And in these instances where the property, excuse me, looks like there are boards at the rear behind these windows, is that correct?
yes, on the interior of the frame.
But the window is still broken, so there is interior access, correct?
Yes.
Is there any problem associated with having open windows that are only have plywood at the behind the windows on the interior of the property?
There is an issue, because what could happen is a person can come up and just punch through that plywood by simply kicking it off the frame.
And it also doesn't secure the openings through those windows that allows weather, et cetera, in. Is that correct?
Yes,
I'm going to move to another photo. Is this showing that there's a unsecured or open window at this basement here?
yes,
And then is this the side of the property?
Yes.
yes. Yeah, that's-
I'm not sure. I was getting some interference there.
Yeah, we're
Can-
getting a little static, but I think we're okay.
Okay. And these windows are also each broken, correct?
Yes,
And we see shards of glass on them as well.
yes,
And they're only secured with plywood from the inside, correct?
yes.
And then this document, which is also designated, dated November 16th of 2022. What is this document?
This is the cover sheet for the after photos at 461 Winona Street.
And this photo is reflecting now that the weeds at the front have been trimmed, correct?
Yes,
And those windows have now been boarded, were boarded up now, correct?
yes,
And when the city boards up, I see, do I see two 2x4s here?
yes, you do.
And what is the process? What does the city do to actually secure these pieces of wood, and why do they do it?
So the city uses the wood to give more stability to the plywood seal. And what they'll do is on each ends of those 2x4s, they will sink, I want to say at least a 10 penny nail into the window frame itself. And behind there would be more 2x where we're attaching and making it, like I said, more secure so that it bars entrance.
And so the purpose of this is to make sure that it is not a situation where someone can easily just pull something off or punch through it. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right,
Yes.
and now we move to the next photo. Is this showing that the weeds have been trimmed now?
Yes,
And that window at the back has now been secured with a board that Ella and I put up, correct?
Yes,
And do we see the same situation with those windows on the side of the building?
yes,
And then this is another angle of the weeds that were trimmed in the backyard.
yes.
City Exhibit C is just a copy of the invoice. That does it with my direct of Mr. Higgins.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Shoshan, did you have any questions for Mr. Higgins about what he's just testified to?
Yes, Mr. Higgins, when your people went to the property and, I mean, according to you, the window was open. I have pictures that shows otherwise. Were they in the property?
Are you asking if the crews were in your property?
Yes. Did they enter?
No, this was strictly for the exterior.
Do you know that because you were there or you just assuming?
So I'm testifying as the custodian of record. I wasn't at the property for when the abatement took place.
Okay. To the best of my knowledge, those windows, I mean, you can see that these are new windows and they are closed. So someone from his team must have entered to the property.
Objection, this is testifying and it's speculation.
Okay, but he's speculating as well. I mean, those, I mean, we have pictures that the windows are closed. I have multiple pictures from the property prior to.
Well, then why don't you submit those? And are they dated?
Second. This one is dated May 22nd, 22, and you can see.
All right, well, we cannot see those. Miss Andre is going to come in and get that from you.
Let me see if I have a better picture. The same picture, it's just this one I put the date on, and this one, I mean, I think that this one is much clearer. You can see that both windows are closed. This is May 22nd, 22.
Okay, is there anything else? Because I'm gonna just do this one time and
Okay.
one time only.
I want to show them also how the property look these days, if
Okay.
possible.
Anything else?
These are the rear, so they saw it already. I think that's about it.
Okay, good. I'll be scanning them.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Higgins, are you the one that sent Mr. Rulo those violation notices?
Objection relevance?
What do you mean sent Mr. Rulo that?
Because when they presented the violations, I should have give this one also to the lady. I have two notices. One from October 7th that asking me to make the correction until November 10th.
Yes, we saw that one from
And
Mr.
then
Rulo.
another one, which is final violation notice dated November 16th to correct it. And follow to that notice, I spoke with Inspector Hollis Krevel. Are you familiar with this name, Mr. Martin?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so I spoke with him on November 30th, asking, I was trying to explain him that I mean, what he told me is that they're referring to the 3 windows up top, that one of them has a plywood. And he said that because it's the front of the property.
Objection, hearsay.
I'm sorry?
Thank you, noted, Mr. Rulo. Go on, Mr. Shoshan.
Okay, so he told me that it's referring to the windows up top, and because it's the front of the property, they do not want to see a plywood. I did explain to him that again, because of COVID, everything was delayed, and to order a window, the time frame is approximately 3 months, which I'll order and install. And that's what
And
we
you're
did.
saying, I'm going to interrupt you. You're saying that was November 30th?
November 30th, 2022.
I think, Mr. Higgins, did you not testify that the corrections by the city were made November 16th, 2022? That was the photo date.
Yes,
Yes.
that was the photo date, yes.
So the city had already done the work.
That's the
Mr.
information
Shoshan.
that I got from the inspector. When I spoke with him, I was trying to follow up on that. And that's the information that I got from him. Now, more than that, that's why I said that it's a possibility that someone is over obsessed with that property, because on the first violation is October 7th to fix on October 16th. on October 16th, on October 10th, on November 16th, I'm sorry, October 7th to fix until November 10th. Then on October 16th, and we have to consider also the mailing timing. On November 16th, 2022, I received the final notice. So they come to correct and they send me a final notice and they come to do the work. I mean, nobody leaves even the courtesy to let me do the work. And more than that, I followed up with Inspector Hollis Crevel on November 30th. And he was explained to me that the 3 windows up top is his concern because that's the front of the property. And I did discuss with him and told him that I'll order this window and we will correct it, but it takes time just because there's a delay with orders. The 2 at the bottom were new windows. They were closed. I mean, again, you can assume whatever you think, but they were closed. I mean, someone from his team must have opened them. And more than that, if you're coming to a property, you see 2 new windows, even if it's open, close it. What's the big deal? Why?
Mr. Shaw, that's not their job, quite honestly. Did you have any other information you wanted to provide or any questions you had for Mr. Higgins?
No, I think that's it.
You think that any other statements you want to make for us?
No.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rulo, any closing remarks?
Yes. First off, just to address one item, there was this conversation about, well, the windows were open and then they were closed. And I think that's emphasizing the point that Mr. Higgins made, which is that the property needs to be secured. And you should not be able to do that by just walking up from the rear of the, like walking up, for all of the reasons that he stated. I won't belabor that point. And I say this respectfully, but the petitioner said, you know, the courtesy to do the work himself. Why didn't we offer that courtesy? We did. We gave him until November 10th. We sent that notice of violation to the address that he used on his petition, and the work was not done within that time period. And I think that it's also, you know, and it's a situation where, you know, where's the courtesy to not let this happen? We should not be in a situation where the city has to issue a notice of violation for this to occur. That's the courtesy that should be offered to the neighbors in the community there. And I think the other thing here is that we are, as Mr. Shoshan has testified, he owns 40 properties in the city of Philadelphia. He is an experienced and sophisticated property owner. He also testified that he has teams and crews to do work. He clearly has the resources to avoid this situation ever occurring. And the final thing I would say is that, you know, there are, you know, he's asking for a reduction in the amount of the fine. The city's position is that a matter of law, that cannot happen. But if the board is going to account for those things, I think it should account for the fact that we're not dealing with grandma and grandpa who have limited resources. And if this is going to deter future conduct, these bills should be upheld in their entire amount, because we are dealing with someone who has numerous properties and more resources than mom and dad or grandma and grandpa who have a neighboring property that they inherit. So for all of those reasons, we believe that for both of these bills, the full principal, the full amount of the administrative charge and the interest should be upheld.
Thank you. Any board members have any questions before we step back?
No.
Okay, we're gonna, everybody sit tight. The board is going.
Can
Mr.
I-
Shoshan, one final comment?
Yes, I forgot to address the rear plywood that they put. So I believe again that the city did something that was not necessary. Again, going back to the inspector, he never mentioned the rear windows. I did tell him that we have plywoods on them, and he just mentioned the front because of the view that, I mean, that it's a street view and they want that it's going to be a window and not a plywood. More than that, I did have plywood on all of the windows in the back. And I can tell you more than that, in one property that I dealt with the city not too long ago, the inspector asked me to put the windows inside and not outside because they want to see the windows. I'm sorry, the plywood. So here is I guess, like different regulations that each inspector is holding for himself. And I mean, in that case, I believe, and more than that, I'm sorry, the very back window that has bars on it, they put a plywood to prevent someone from entering the property. If someone comes to the back of the property, and needs to climb almost 8 foot to enter the property. So I believe that the piece of plywood that they put will not really stop him. And the bar that we had on the window will not stop him. Same thing with the other 2 windows that they that they had a plywood from interior. If someone wants to enter the property, he'll need to come with a ladder. If he comes with a ladder, he'll come with other tools, basically to take the screws that the city put on that plywood and remove them. Not that many screws. So
Okay.
I think that this job was irrelevant. And again, I believe that someone was just over obsessed with that property to come and just, I mean, I don't know if to do something or to fine me or to penalize me, but I mean, that's what it looks like with this property, unfortunately.
Okay, we're gonna
realize-
step this,
I realize I never asked him any questions. I have one question.
Mr. Rulo.
Sir, you referenced a violation at another property that you have. This case violation was from 2022. How many violation notices did you receive in the year of 2022? For all of your properties?
For Winona,
For all of your properties?
this I don't know. I don't want to throw a number. I don't know. I mean, I know for a fact, to be honest with you, I don't think that we received beside Winona, to be honest with you. And
Okay.
that only the 2 violations, basically the initial one
Let's go.
that was dated
Okay,
July
Yeah, let's,
7th, and the second one, November 16th, final violation, final notice, but you came to do the work at the same day.
all right, we're gonna move on, and move back to our deliberations.
Thank you.
Thank you,
If everyone
Mr.
just
Waldo.
stays right there, the board is just gonna go back in the virtual room. So, Mr. Shashan, please just stay right there.
Lisa, is it possible to get a pen or a pencil?
Sure, I'll be there in a second.
Have we have everybody back?
Yes.
Okay, we're back in session. The board has deliberated. We did look at the evidence provided by, Mr. Rule, okay, by the city as well as by the petitioner, and discuss the matter in front of us. There are two petitions, so we're going to start with case number 8768 for 461 Winona Street, and it's the decision of the board in that instance to abate the interest that has accrued only. And for the case ending 8724, the decision of the board is to deny that petition and not grant any relief on that. So, Mr. Shoshan, you will get letters from the tax review board for each of those matters. With our decision, you will, either party may appeal to the Court of Common Pleas within 30 days of those letters. Otherwise, you'll receive new bills and may have 30 days to arrange installments for the balances. Can I get concurrence from my other board members?
John O'Connor, I concur.
Nancy, you're muted.
George Matthews, I concur.
Nancy, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And Paula Weiss, I concur. So those are the decisions for those matters. As I said, letters from the tax review board detailing the decisions and follow-up will be sent within 2 weeks of these decisions. So, Mr. Shoshan, thank you very much for coming in, and we are going to move on. Okay, and I do believe that, I don't know where Melissa went. We do have the remaining petitioner in our, okay, here she comes. So we're going to move on to cases 2456, 4254 Westminster Avenue, Lorraine Ginyard Medley.
Excuse me, Board Chairwoman Weiss?
Yes. Mr.
This
Higgins.
concludes my business before the board may be excused.
Oh, yes, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too. Okay, I think we're ready to move on. Okay, so this is the case involving 4254 Westminster Avenue, which has several bills that start with relate to a demolition and the demolition itself. Lorraine Ginyard Medley, ma'am.
Yes.
Well, good afternoon. I'm Paula Weiss, Chair of the Tax Review Board. Could you state your full name for the record?
Lorraine Ginyard Medley.
And who do you have with you?
My husband, Kenneth Medley.
Mr. Medley, is Mr. Medley going to testify as well in this matter?
If you need him to.
Well, it's if you need him to.
Oh, well, probably.
Okay, then would each of you please swear or affirm to tell the truth in all the matters that are going to come before the board on this?
I do.
Thank you. I'm going to turn to, well, I think we're going to do a little bit of administrative work on this first, but I'm going to turn to Mr. Rulo. These matters were heard previously before a hearing officer. So I know that, and I know that there are 4 of them. Not quite sure how to proceed here. 2 of which, I guess, you know what, do we want to get all the data on the record first, Mr. Rulo, for all of the bills and then figure out where we stand with them?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, so let's, all right, so starting with case number 2 ending in 9105, is Ms. Fonseca gonna do the honors here?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, 9105, correct?
yes,
Let me see this bill number 597. Give me 1 second. Okay. This is for 4524 Westminster Avenue. This is for a parging and waterproofing bill. Bill date is November 29th of 2022. Bill number is 22011597. Principal amount is $2,340.00. The administrative charge is $491.40. And there's no interest at this time that accrued for that bill. So the total is $2,831.40.
okay. And then we're gonna move to case number 4 ending in 9111.
The bill 243. Okay. This is, again, for 4524 Westminster Avenue. This is a demolition bill. Bill date is January 5, 2023. Bill number is 22010243. Principal amount is $14,000 even. Administrative charge is $2,940.00. And no interest at this time, totaling out the invoice to be $16,940.00.
Okay, and then we're gonna move on to number 5, ending in 9110.
And this is for a site improvement bill. Bill date is January 5, 2023. Bill number is 22009-308. Principal amount is $6,000.00. And the administrative charge is $1,260.00. The interest is $36.30, totaling out to be $7,296.30.
And case number 6, ending in 9112.
610. And this is a bill for stucco. Bill date is November 29th of 2022. Bill number is 20011610. Principal amount is $25,316.00. The administrative charge is $5,316.36. There's no interest at this time for that bill, so this totals out to $30,632.36.
Okay, thank
I'm
you.
sorry, I'm working on 2 screens here, so I'm sorry if I'm not.
No, that's fine. Thank you. That's very clear. I think that we got these more clearly than the last
Yes.
ones. So let's do that. All right, so
Great.
it's my understanding that these bills were heard by a tax review board hearing officer at a previous hearing. Is that correct, Ms. Andre?
That is
And
correct.
that cases number 5 and 6 were actually granted in full by the hearing officer. I don't believe that this appeal is the city's appeal. Mr. Rulo, correct? These
I
were.
am unaware of any appeal being filed by the city on those.
Okay, so I'm not sure that they should actually be here and whether it was an administrative error by our office that put those 2 bills in front of us, because there was really nothing for the petitioner to appeal and the city did not appeal.
Could we give Ms. Fonseca a quick second just to check the records?
Absolutely, and Ms. Andre can look at the file as well to see.
The
Where-
city's attorneys do not attend the master's hearing, so
I
I
understand.
have the knowledge of a golden retriever.
What was there a question for me, just so that I can look, because it got disconnected, I'm sorry.
Do you have any record of the city appealing either of those cases?
I don't have any record, but I'm not certain.
Okay.
I have that
Okay.
on cases that end docket that ends in 9112, that it was granted by the hearing officer at the tax review board at a hearing that was held on September 27th of 2023. And then I have the same thing for the docket that ends in 9110. I also have that the petitioner came in or at some point submitted an appeal for all 4. So I'm not really sure if she understood. So maybe we just go to the petitioner and find out.
Okay, does that make sense, Mr. Rulo? See where we are?
Yes.
Okay, so Ms. Ginyard Medley, could you explain to us why you're here today. Two of the bills, what we've been talking about, just to make sure that you're clear, is you were here for a hearing in September of 2023, correct?
Yes,
Yes. And two of the bills under appeal were actually abated or waived by the hearing officer. Are you here again for us to look at those bills?
well, I'm still receiving, first of all, I'm just so nervous. This is so.
Please don't be
upsetting.
nervous. Take a breath.
It's so upsetting to me because I did come down here before. I'm almost 76 years old, and this is a lot of stress, you know, for somebody my age. So anyhow, I got bills that were maybe $49,000 or $50,000 after I came down the first time.
Do
And
you
it
have
was,
those bills with you?
well, let me see. I didn't know what, I wasn't expecting this. I have this, and I was handed this when I came. I did see, as I was waiting, an email from Mr. Rulo saying that, you know, he was giving me this, like, this is a lot to have presented, and I didn't know, I didn't have a clue that I needed to be prepared to defend anything. But yes, I think I have brought.
If I may, I think I could assist in this process.
That
So
would be wonderful.
first off, I have a duty of candor as an attorney. If the city did not file appeals of those two bills, the city did not file appeals of those two bills. Ms. Ginyard Medley succeeded on those before the master's hearing. Those are done. Those bills are gone because the city didn't appeal them. That's the truth
Okay.
of the matter. I think
I'm still getting bills.
You're still gonna get bills, ma'am.
It's in collections
Yes.
for the full amount, but without, the here, still
All right,
57,000.
so hold on a second. Ms. Andre, what did you want to explain?
So I think that based on what Mr. Rulo just said, there will, after this hearing, there will be a reissuance of bills. And based on what Mr. Rulo said and what the board said, that two of these bills will be removed from your account. Mr. Rulo, can you confirm that?
The city didn't appeal them. We lost those
Okay.
bills. We lost those bills. I think it would also be helpful if we could clarify what bills remained. And to explain this, there were 4 bills, and I want to explain the subject matter of those. There was one bill for the demolition, which was approximately, I believe, $14,000 or $16,000.
Exactly $16,940.
There was a second bill that was for fencing, and I believe that was around $6,000. I imagine Miss Andre, because she is amazing, is going to correct me in a second.
Is that the one
7,000
that's called site improvement?
Yes, can you
Okay.
clarify that that is a site improvement?
Site improvement fencing.
Okay, so that
Okay.
one is 7296.30.
There is a third bill that is, one second, I want to make sure I'm accurate here. There is a third bill and the description of the work is parging and waterproofing. That was for regrading of the soil and seeding of it. I just wanted to explain what that was.
Thank you.
And that one is for, well, with the administrative charge, $2,831.40. I brought them up, Miss Andre. I have them now. Isn't that helpful? And then the final bill was for stucco work, and that is the bill that totals $30,632.36.
And what I'm explaining is that cases for the site improvement and the fencing, that's the one, and the stucco bill have been removed or will be removed from her account.
That is my understanding.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I have too, on my
Okay,
notes from
so-
the hearing on September.
So as of right now, there remains 2 bills on your account, Miss Ginyard Medley, and that is the waterproofing and the seeding, which is $2,831, and the large demolition, which is the $16,940. That is what your account should reflect, at least at this moment. Mr. Rulo?
That is my understanding as well.
Okay, I came down to the city a couple of times to try to begin payment, and there was always so much confusion. They never could tell me anything. Can I ask you to remove the administrative fee that still remains?
You can request that of the board. We would need to hear from you as to the circumstances that brought this about, that would provide us with any foundation in order to consider that.
Besides all the grief that I've been experiencing.
Well, but we're not
I'm
aware,
here for that. I
not
got you.
familiar with that.
As I said,
Is this a property that that you lived in, that somebody lived in? Was this a vacant property?
it was a vacant property. I was trying to get a place that I could move my mother into next door so that we could take care of her better.
Mm-hmm.
And she passed away, so I was trying to move my daughter in so that she wouldn't have to run all over town to take care, of her, of me, as I'm 76 now. So that was it. But I'd like to resolve this in the few years I have left to live, so I don't leave anybody a mess. And I'd like to just start the money paying on the actual costs as opposed to administrative fees. If you could do that, that would help me get this paid.
Okay. Mr. Rulla, do you want to put on a case for these two? Or
Yes,
just
I believe it would at least
trustee?
be helpful. I will just very briefly begin. Ma'am, extremely sympathetic. I'm sorry you went through this situation. As the board will hear shortly, she also, unlike a lot of individuals that we see here, appeared to have recognized that she couldn't do this demolition and actually authorized the city to conduct the demolition. So I just wanted to note that off the bat. I will reassert kind of what I've said in the past, is that, regardless of those circumstances, it's the taxpayers of the city of Philadelphia that ended up absorbing these costs. That the taxpayers absorb these costs, and unless they're fully reimbursed, that money is gone from other sources, from other causes that it could go towards. I think the testimony in this instance is going to, and the evidence in this case, they're going to show that this was a respectfully, a long neglected property. This is not something that happened overnight, and it occurred in a very sensitive location, which will become apparent as we walk through these photos. And I would just respectfully, as the board makes its decision, ask it to consider those. With that, I would call Supervisor Tom Rybakowski.
Can I say something else?
Well, you'll have a chance in a moment. It's the city's turn. Mr. Rybakowski, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Could you state your name and position with the city, please?
Thomas Rybakowski, City of Philadelphia, License and Inspections, Construction Compliance Supervisor.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in these matters will be the truth?
Yes.
Mr. Rulla?
Supervisor Rybakowski, what's your role with the city of Philadelphia?
I am a Construction Compliance Supervisor assigned to Contractual Services Unit or Emergency Response. My unit is responsible for inspecting properties throughout the city and declaring those properties either unsafe or eminently dangerous. And then we're assigned the duties of inspecting the permit to either repair that property by way of a make safe permit or to abate the property by way of demolition.
Mr. Rulla, if I could interrupt before you get started, I think since petitioner has limited her request to the board to the administrative hearings, the administrative charges, I'm sorry, and not to the full merits of the bills or to the principal amounts, perhaps you could limit your questions and your cases to just that narrow area.
I will attempt to do so. It's a bit unusual, but I'll get to the point.
Thank you.
Okay, so I would add, so I'm just going to run through these quickly. I'm going to share my screen. Supervisor Rybakowski, can you see what's been displayed on the screen as City Exhibit A?
Yes,
And this is the violation notice in order to correct that's dated September 20th of 2022, correct?
it is.
And it declared the property imminently dangerous due to a rear side collapse, correct?
Correct.
And I'm going to move to the second. These are photos of the property, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we have the front here with a ton of plywood, correct?
There's wood affixed over what would have been the porch area, and then some sort of cladding or some sort of wood support over the off the right-hand side of it.
And then this is just another angle of the front, correct?
Correct.
And what is this photo showing?
That shows the side collapsed area of the property on Westminster.
And this is another angle of that collapse
It is.
and another angle of it.
It is.
Going to move to City Exhibit C. What is this document?
This is the documentation allowing the city or authorizing the city to do the demolition of the property at 4254 Westminster Avenue.
And does this reference any that the city was going to limit the cost of the demolition to any specific number?
No,
And are you aware of any agreement between the city and the petitioner that would limit it to any specific cost?
no.
Going to move now to what's been marked as City Exhibit D. Can you see what the date is up on the top left of this?
Yes, the date of this photograph or the date that this is date stamped, it's a website from the city's Atlas system where you can see street views. This street view was taken July 26th of 2015.
And what does it show?
Shows the side wall of the property where it had suffered before it had suffered a collapse. It shows a lot of overgrowth in the rear of the property.
And we also see open windows, is that correct?
Second story, yes.
We can move to the next. This is another angle. If we look, excuse me, this is also from Cyclomedia. And if we look at the top left, what's the date of this photograph?
April 15th of 2020.
And I'm going to zoom in here. What is displayed in this portion of the photograph?
So some sort of makeshift bracing that's been installed to the side load-bearing wall under the cantilevered second story bay off the side wall of that property.
And I'm going to go to the next photograph. Is this the property on the left?
It is
And what's over here on the right?
the school.
And that's the entrance to the school.
That is,
And we see that there is bracing again in this photograph, correct?
there is.
The remainder of my exhibits are just the invoices. That does it for my questions for Supervisor Rybakowski, unless the board has questions.
Now, if you just want to move those into evidence, we don't need to probably go through them.
Correct.
Okay. Ma'am, do you have any questions for the city's witness?
No,
Okay. Any other remarks?
you wanted to say so?
did get a permit, have a permit.
Okay.
I'm sorry, we can't hear you. What was,
Well, we did have a permit. And the inspector came out and said that the building was secure once those boards was put up.
Objection here, sir.
so noted.
Yeah.
Okay. Does the city have a record of any kind of building or make safe permit?
It was by, okay.
She said.
I actually can answer that question.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Rybakowski.
So in 2016, the property was declared as unsafe, and a permit was obtained, and that permit was closed out in, it was issued August 5th of 2016 with a complete date of April 6th of 2017.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Rillo, any closing remarks?
Yes, I will be brief. In this instance, I won't belabor the point. I've already talked about taxes and the taxpayers. And it's important to note administrative costs are just a natural attendant part of this process. In this instance, again, I believe that the petitioner has received substantial relief of, I believe it is over 35,000 if my math is correct, which may not be.
Why we're lawyers, not doctors.
I was about to make the joke.
That's what I always used to say.
And again, I want to be as respectful as possible to the petitioner, but those photos were evidencing that this property was in a state of decay for a very long time and in close proximity to a middle school. I'm not going to speculate on how many feet it is from that, but I believe that the board should take account of that. We are in a situation where, thank God, this was not at a school time period or that there are children nearby. And I say that with due respect. And I would just like the board to take consideration of that.
Thank you. All right, we're going to step back.
Can I say one more thing?
One last comment. Go ahead.
Okay, when COVID happened, when we were starting this process, and then it was very difficult to do anything or get in touch and all of that, and it just affected the progress and held some things up. I think there was permits on hold, stuck in the system for the city. And it just didn't help the situation and just deteriorated.
We had two permits. There was one, and then there was another one. The first one expired, we got the second one.
If they've raised something, and I would just like to ask Supervisor Rybakowski one question on that point.
Yes. Mr. Rybakowski? You're back on.
Did the city ever stop processing permits for unsafe and imminently dangerous cases at any point during the pandemic?
The city had a proviso for entering permits into the system, but we never stopped taking in applications. You could do a in-person application at an off-site office over on Cecil B. Moore. So no, we did not, for make safe permits or unsafe properties, we did not stop issuing permits.
That's it.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Andre, I think we're ready to step back.
You got that permit, was it?
Okay.
Oh, excuse me. After I had got a permit at first, and it was said that the property was in danger. And it said the collapse of the side house. Then I got a permit, and we got the side of the house shored up. And the city said something about the side. It was the back of the house that collapsed because of lack of knowledge, knowing that if we were told that was the case, then we could have shored that area up too. I'm not a contractor, so.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Andre, let's move on.
Okay, if everybody just stays put, the board will be right back.
Shoes back. Started sweating.
I'll contact my doctor's office, and they gave me the numbers to call. She set it up, and I have to call them to confirm my appointment. Huh?
What about your prostate?
My prostate, that's my urologist. And when I go back to that appointment, and she said that they will run more tests on me. They've done more than Jefferson even thought about doing for me.
Paula, everyone is back.
Okay, Tax Review Board is back in session, and we are gonna have a bifurcated set of decisions, I believe, on all of these bills. The cases that we actually did just review, which are on our docket numbers 2 and 4, ending in the first one 9105, second one ending 9111. It's this decision of the Tax Review Board to deny any further relief on these bills. And deny the rehearing so that you will get Ms. Ginyard Medley, you'll get letters from the Tax Review Board on these each of these two matters denying the request for relief. Either party has 30 days to appeal before either of these decisions to the Court of Common Pleas, should you so desire. Otherwise, the board is providing 60 days in order to enter into a payment arrangement for the balances with the Department of Revenue. Cases 5 and 6, ending in 9110 and 9112, as discussed and agreed to by the city's attorney, we are affirming the decisions of our hearing officer, and those decisions were to abate those two bills in full. You'll get letters for those as well. Can I get confirmation and concurrence from other board members?
Yes, John O'Connor, I concur and confirm.
Nancy Cameron, I concur.
George Matthews, I concur and confirm.
Paula Weiss, I concur as well. And so I believe that concludes this matter. You will get, as I said, you'll get letters from the Tax Review Board for each one of these bills.
What about the collection people? They've been calling me and all of that. Will that stop?
Mr. Rulo?
I don't have the administrative knowledge of that. I know that new bills will be issued for those two, and my understanding is that the other two bills will be wiped out. So I would assume that collections would, but I just don't have the.
Okay, we'll stop for the moment. I think the best thing to do is once you get those new bills, that you contact the Department of Revenue and start to discuss with them the terms of a payment agreement to just pay off the balances, and that will stop. That will pull it back from the collection agencies, is my understanding, or at least, move it out of the collection process once you're in a payment agreement.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I believe that concludes our docket for today.
That is correct.
Yes, and everyone enjoy the rest of your summer. Our next hearing is after Labor Day.
Yay.
Okay.
I'm way too excited about that.
Everyone,
Yay.
everyone take care.
Everybody
Take care. Have a
rest of
good
your
one.
summer.
Enjoy the
Bye.
beach. Enjoy the vacation.
Bye.
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 I guess
Bye.
I'm the only one who's very much excited.
No.
You should be.
It's just that I gotta pick this up next week.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Rubikowski.
That's okay.
Bye, everybody. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.